Hello,
everyone.
everyone.
Welcome to our 12th episode of You Are Where You Need to Be. We are going to talk about how society and our modern life is slowly degrading, chipping human connections away, and what actually causing this and what this happening is causing to us and to our relationships. And then what else is the cause of that? So what do you think, Nikki?
Well, let's just name it as it is. We are going to discuss capitalism. And we thought that this is an important topic because it impacts our everyday lives. It shows that not just about money, it's about how we define success, self-worth, productivity, and what's worse, even love and rest. This episode isn't about preaching about politics. It's about inviting you to reflect on how this system shapes your emotional reality, because it actually does. So I think then at its core, capitalism is an economic system based on private ownership, market competition, and profit. Sounds very simple, but it affects how we structure society, actually, and how we structure everything around us, how we value people, determine what makes life good, and it sells the illusion of choice. But in many ways, it narrows our opinions. So based on that, what do you think about this system? What is your experience, how you personally feel about it?
I think, first of all, you put that so beautifully. Like, I couldn't have wrapped my mind around it so perfectly. My experience is that I had no idea about what capitalism really is. I didn't really care about it for majority of my life. It's mainly lately, since I'm living my adult life on my own and finally got my office jobs that I was wishing to have, because what is a person if they don't work in an office in the typical capitalism mind of mine that I imagined? Because all of the Western films were about, working in office and how great the career is to achieve something, especially nowadays, women achieve career and so on. And the moment when I realized that I couldn't care less about the whole thing, climbing the ladder at all, like I know I can't contribute to the whole idea of it, to us individuals being treated as numbers, the same units, and expected to perform certain results that is inhumane. And no matter what, we bring this idea, if I'm correct, the 8 to 9 hours work from the factories when there were like shifts and so on. And correct me if I'm wrong with that. This is what I heard, and I didn't do any research about that. But our mind in offices is just not meant to work for that long nonstop. And I used to work actually because I was so driven. I was so grateful that I finally have my office job, that I worked my ass off, literally. I even worked overtime for free so I can prove that I'm such a good worker and I have my place there, and maybe they will prove, like my work will prove that I'm worthy and they will appreciate it. But then capitalism is not about appreciation. It's not about individual appreciation. They try, some companies, they try and show some kind of appreciation, but guys, that's not that really, like crumbs. Now I think, deep diving into really, really strong opinion here, but I cannot support capitalism. And at the moment, I feel like I'm still doing it because I haven't found my way out of it, but I don't think this is in line in our human nature. Maybe it works for some people who like the repetition, who like to be treated the same in some ways like any other people, even though they're not. It's just the ideology of that. But Me as a creator individual, it's hell. It's really not easy because it's not about one individual person's ideas and creativity and life goals and achievements, and not even climbing the ladder. It's very rare when you can actually do that within a certain environment. I think I could keep talking about this. It's such a complex topic, but I'm very grateful for my own path, realizing that I'm not actually happy with how capitalism is working. And it's not just work, but how it's degrading people in a sense of exploitation, and people become so exhausted because we live to serve, if that makes sense. And it's just, it disconnects people so much because we are overworked. This is what I feel. I don't know how you say it.
Yeah, you're completely right. When you mentioned that we are treated like numbers, well, of course, when you enter this field the first time you are young, you have an opinion which is not based on experience yet, because of course you are talking with your parents about it, but it's never going to give you the actual view of how things are out there. So you are going there full of hope, you really just want that office job, what you were mentioning, because it serves as a badge of honor that you're going to be now a useful part of society, and you can brag about it that you are an office girl too when you take your iced latte there and you're sitting in front of a computer for 8 hours, and it's for some reason so great. And then in the beginning, you are actually pretty enthusiastic about the idea. Maybe it's not even going to kick in after your first job. Maybe you need to have experience in the corporate world several times and different companies to understand that it's not the workplace what you don't like. It's basically the environment, how it's built, because it's exactly the same everywhere else. Exactly the same. For some reason, productivity becomes your identity. They tell people that you are only valuable if you are busy all the time. And let's face it, most of these jobs, you go to your work, you badge in, or you show up at 8 o'clock in the morning. And maybe you work for 2 hours, 3 hours tops, and then you are just pretending. And you're going around. Maybe some people like to chat with colleagues just to kill the time, And I'm not saying all of the jobs are like that, but let's face it, most of them. And the ones which are not, where you really have to work 24/7, you even going to burn out faster. Because you're expected to work, if you're lucky, only 5 days and not 6 or 7 days a week. And you get 2 days in return where you can rest. But it's not really about rest if you're thinking about it, because you have to do the shopping, have to do the laundry, have to clean the home, I don't know who came up with this, and I know it was worse in the past, because when you mentioned that we took this from factories, the first thing what came to my mind was how crazy it was back in the day, because everybody worked in the factories, children too. And there were no rules, no regulations. Most of the time it was really, really dangerous, actually. There was no hospitalization insurance, there were no safety rules and so on, because today there are a lot of regulations and rules which try to protect the workers, so to say, and the employees. But back in the day, it was not the case. And they even worked 12, 14, 15 hours a day. They just went back home, or at some point they didn't. Maybe they were just sleeping there, and they started their shift again. I was reading about this, and I watched videos, and it was horrifying. But if we are comparing to what it could be, it is still horrifying. It looks that we have more flexibility and we have more choices or freedom, but Actually, this is nothing.
Yeah.
It's really nothing. And people are conditioned to think that being busy really equals being cool or
Living
showing
their lives.
that you're someone, that you live your life, because if you're not busy 24/7, that you are doing something wrong. And this is conditioned.
Yeah.
This is conditioned in us. And I have privilege and I feel lucky that I work only 2 days a week. And there was a discussion in under a post at some blog about a girl having some time off and she was between jobs, and she said that now she understands why retired people are so bored and she cannot wait to go back to work. And I was like, what? Like, you just never ever got the skills or shaped your life in a way to build something around yourself which keeps you busy but in an enjoyable way. So you actually think that being busy equals being at work.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus the identity that you are saying is we have been conditioned since our childhood literally to chase these future goals, the future job, the future house, the future wife or husband, and holidays and so on. And how can you achieve that if you have a good job? And probably that's like the corporate way, sales job or a banker or something like that. And then we don't get to have the chance, first of all, because of other attachments, style related upbringing, circumstances, we don't manage to get to know ourselves. But because of this, that we have to try to mold ourselves into a future idea, who we want to be, we have to decide so early on and then keep chasing that goal and then maybe like try and divert our path if it doesn't work out really. But we don't get the chance to truly get to know ourselves, who we are. Our identity is based on our job. Many of the people, once their job is done, this is why many of CEOs, they cannot stop working because that's their entire life. And they literally hardwire in their brain that they have to work. This is how they've been doing their hard work and they can't stop because nothing. And they didn't ever stop to find hobbies or do something that they really truly enjoy and it's not work. So we are literally programmed to be these robots working and mounting piles of money constantly that has to grow never endingly. And this is not what we are meant to be doing here. When we used to be in the Stone Ages, like, what were we doing? I doubt that this was people's everyday, like getting up at 6 o'clock and going to the workplace. And now that we finally have hybrid and remote works, it's a blessing, I think, because before, when I had to commute 5 days a week to work, I didn't have any energy left. And back then, at that time, I didn't really understand when someone would explain to me, oh, these people drain my energy and so on. And now I would hear studies about this, that, people leak their own stress hormones, their own cortisol into other people. And I always wondered, why do I feel so stressed when I'm like in an office environment or on the tube and so on? And why do I feel so much peaceful when I'm at home on my own? This is not okay, especially that population has grown to its level. Now people are worried that population is not going to grow anymore because no one wants kids. But I don't know about that, to be fair. But the whole system is designed to make us so busy and exhausted that we only have the energy to go to work because we have to pay the bills, we have to pay the rent, we have to pay the repayment for our car or for our house, for anything, and we cannot stop. And it's causes such a huge burnout that people don't stop to think what is actually happening on the larger scale of the world. And they don't manage to grow empathy towards other people. I'm not saying about, what's happening on the Middle East or the Near East or anywhere on the world, but just the next person on the tube, literally. Like what I'm witnessing so many times, the race for a seat, young people, literally men and women equally. Oh, I'm going to sit down. And then they sit through the whole time. And I understand. I used to be like that too. Even now, I'm like, I don't always feel like standing because it's uncomfortable. It's painful. People are pushing and so on. So I do understand that it's not about that. But I think we just don't know how to look at another human being anymore as another human being and understand them, feel their pain, or imagine that they have pain, or even think about them, that they exist, and be considerate towards them. And what is the reason? Because everyone feels burnout. And now that seat is something that they deserve. I deserve that seat because I have been working my ass off. And I'm going to fight for myself, especially some of us as people pleasers who used to not dare to sit down because we were taught to be way too more considerate, over considerate. And then now some of us are like waking up. This is my own personal experience. And I had some period when I'm like, no, I deserve to take up some space. I deserve to sit down. But then, like, do I really have to? I mean, the entire time? So I don't know about you because I know you drive a car. So how can you connect compassion and capitalism in your own experience?
Well, don't you think that if you drive a car, you're not seeing the same kind of behavior? It's
No,
exactly the same on the roads. People are crazy. People are impatient. People are honking at you all the time. People are showing the finger because everybody's rushing somewhere, especially on Fridays. Oh my God, don't go out on Fridays on the roads because it's unbelievable. Everybody's rushing at home or rushing to do that last shopping before they get home. And they are pretty impatient and they are already very tired from the week. So they cannot wait to get home. That's where most accidents happen also, because people just lose patience. People just don't pay attention. So it's incredibly crazy. But yeah, about burnout, because I really want to talk about that. I didn't know what it was until I experienced it myself. And I don't know if you experienced it, but if you did, I would like your opinion about what you felt or how it was for you. Because first I didn't even notice. I didn't know what was happening because, yeah, you know the word, you know what it means. But when you firsthand start to feel it, you don't really know what's happening with you. So with me, I was at a job, it felt very repetitive and it was with shifts, and shifts are pretty crazy. You can never adjust to a schedule. You always feel tired. You cannot really plan anything because one week is like this, the other is like that. And the corporate jobs are pretty demanding as well. So you always have to do your 100%. Or at least that's what they are expecting from you. And after some time, when I felt demotivated, because I want to discuss it later about how your management and overhead can actually influence how you feel at work. But yeah, let's come back to that after. I started to feel like I don't want to wake up anymore, and I don't want to go there. I felt tired all the time, like extremely tired. And I didn't just have zero motivation to go to work. I had zero motivation to do anything else. Like literally, even if I went home, I only just wanted to go to sleep or just watch something on a TV and just don't even move. And it was going on for some time. And I think many people experience when you don't like your job anymore, but you don't switch. For some reason, I think everybody had this experience at one period of their lives that they had this job, they hated it. They were even talking with their colleagues how much everybody hates it, but still everybody comes.
Mhm.
Because people think that they have no option, or they are more comfortable than to change on their situation. Because staying in the well-known crap, so to say, it's easier. I mean, it's not easier, but for many people, they consider it easier than to start looking and to do a change. It's the same with what we discussed before, with everything, with all aspects of life. I think it's encoded in human nature. Maybe not always was, but in today's society, 100% sure that we find it extremely difficult to switch. So I really had to be at rock bottom to do that switch. And I really understand now what burnout means, and I don't want to experience it ever again. I told myself that whenever I feel like that in the future, I will switch before I experience that again. Because I couldn't even recognize that person today who I was compared to who I am at the moment. How much more energy I have, how my mood is, basically. I don't know. Have you ever experienced it?
Multiple times. And that's why it was so hard for me to recognize what is happening, because this was literally my normal. And I would have like better days or weeks or something, but then I would always fall back to this pitch. And I think this whole concept with a relationship with workplace is the exact same thing as relationship between people, because we are not going to move until it doesn't hurt enough or they fire us or something drastic happens.
Yeah.
Because I think us humans, as long as we are in the uncomfortable comfort zone, we are not going to move. That's a lot of energy, at least our brain thinks that. And we just stay, and our needs are not getting met. We face repetitively the same insanity cycle, and that just drains. Like, that's not going to change. Just like a toxic relationship. If a person is unable to give you or meet your needs and change and make that relationship healthy, that's the same with a job or a lifestyle. And you have to make drastic decisions and steps. And it's very risky, and sometimes it doesn't work immediately out. I think a lot of brave steps like that can often feel like you're failing, but it's actually going to work out in a longer phase of your life. And people think that it was a mistake that I left this job or something. But actually, there is always a reason for whatever is happening to us. And I think still those people are braver who leave, and they do it best because at least they are trying, they are seeking. And yeah, it's a very strange experience because I was kind of used to having this low mood all the time my entire life. So I didn't really notice. It was nothing new to me. I was always a quite negative mentality person and upset with things and complaining about things. So it wasn't anything new that I would be complaining about the toxic job previously. But then when I will get into more like a better, but still not the best environment, and experience it again, because in the beginning, everyone is like a bit excited. It's fresh new environment and so on. It's like, shit, it's the same damn thing again. And I'm like, what the hell? It's same what you described. No motivation whatsoever. You look at everything as this again. And I think the part of it that it's also where as creative minds, which is a lot of people, I think, we are not meant to do the exact same thing every single day. I have no idea how cavemen lived their lives, to be fair, but maybe they didn't really develop these kind of needs yet. I have no idea. Maybe their needs was really literally just feeling safe, being together, being fed. and that's it, more than that. But yeah, so that was that, and I'm still experiencing that from time to time, and sometimes I manage to get myself out of it. But the major sign of it is exhaustion, and that I just don't do even those hobbies that I love to do. And I usually like to these days chat with ChatGPT. I'm like, why am I not doing the thing that I'm supposed to be doing? And it is explaining to me, because you are resting. I'm like, maybe I need resting. Maybe. Where did I forget that?
Yeah, and you do. And you know why? What we discussed earlier or brought up, that rest is seen as something, I don't know, guilty pleasure. I mean, you always have to do something. You always have to be busy with something, because otherwise, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen. And of course, you're feeling guilty if you sit down and you just stare into nothingness, because your body and your mind needs that. Right, it's really, we laugh about it, but it's true. We need it. We need to do nothing. We need to recharge. And by nothing, I don't mean to play a video game or read a book or something where you don't need to focus. Somewhere where you really just switch off. I don't know, you go outside on your balcony and you just stare into nothingness, or you go to the forest, or whatever you like to do. You go somewhere, or you don't go anywhere. You just sit at home, but you rest actively.
Yeah.
And I think most people don't even have the luxury to do that, because just imagine working from 8 till 4, then basically you are all day at work, because work is not just from 8 till 4, but going there and coming back from there.
Yeah.
The traffic, this and that. And if you need something at home, then you have to step into the store, or you have to do other activities. You have a kid, then you have to take care of your child. You have a pet, you have to take care of your pet. And at the end, you have maybe half day, which you could use for active resting, but then you want to do something else. And I understand that you, for example, want to go running because you like running, you like the sport. So you will do that because the rest of the week you had no time for that, or you want to play the piano, or you want to draw. I could say a lot of hobbies. There are thousands of hobbies which you would like to do, but then you are also not actively resting. And at the end, you don't understand why are you so frustrated, why everybody's pissing you off. Everybody. Somebody sneezing, somebody is snoring, somebody is a bit chewing too loud next to you, and you are just outraged. But not because of that, but because your nervous system is completely on the edge of exploding.
I am because of that. Sorry, I can't stand like this chewing and nasal sounds. If someone sees me like trying to murder someone on the tube, that's because of that.
Okay, then there are people who are more sensitive to that anyways. But maybe if you went on a 1 month holiday in Japan and you came back, maybe it wouldn't bother you for a month or so. You never know. You only know when you try.
Yeah, when I get
if it still bothers you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you will. So that's what I'm trying to say, that actually we are frustrated towards each other, even though in reality we are not causing that frustration. Because if everybody was well rested and everybody would have time for what they like to do, what they love to do, they would be so much more patient with each other.
Yes. I would like to put this in a relationship related context again, because what we would like to do is in line with our needs. So we don't meet our needs because we do things that we have to do. And this is the same as in relationships that are not compatible or not working in some way, where the other person or the relationship doesn't meet our needs. And you find yourself getting irritated by little things, like this person doesn't put the cup where or you ask them to put, and then actually there is something larger behind that reason.
Yeah.
Because you never actually manage to resolve something, or this person doesn't speak your love language and you never really feel fulfilled, or doesn't meet your other needs in any other way. And this is applied to your whole life, not just in relationship. You have needs that needs to be met, and we force ourselves through society and capitalism and external expectations to grind ourselves in jobs that actually don't fulfill us at all. And then we try and go on like rage money spending tours, which puts us into like this evil cycle where you don't have the money again, and then you still have to work. You can't just, find another better job opportunity or explore yourself really from saved money or something like that, because you've spent it on trying to meet your needs that you can't on everyday level. So I think this is a crucial thing, and people become so bitter, so angry, and what is the easiest to do than to like project it onto others and release it onto others, be angry on the road and angry blaming other people and so on. And this creates such a disconnection between us that larger cities, probably this is why they struggle to have communities and compassion between people, and people struggle to make and keep friends, because also people no longer really know how to do that, because everyone is on their phone, on their music, and on the tube and everywhere. And I love that. I do love that too, because it like switches my mind off. I don't have to listen to other people snoring or sniffing or whatever on the tube. But somewhere I do think about it. It's how sad it is, like how used to people probably talked more to each other, and they dare to talk, they dare to approach each other, they dare to ask for help. Now I see and witness it so many times that someone tries to offer a seat to someone else, and they are like, oh, no, oh, someone talk to me, oh my God. And or when their bag is open, and then I go and, sorry, excuse me, your bag is open, and they almost get a heart attack. And I'm like, the lack of human, not like physical touch, but connection between people, contact is so visible,
decreasing.
Yeah, it's horrible. And that's what's causing, and like the whole disconnection is just creating such a huge gap between people. And I personally don't really know how to turn that around unless we lose technology altogether. At least I have no idea.
It's hard because individualism is rewarded lately. Community is often punished, because everybody is like turning inwards. And I'm also an introverted person. I'm fine spending time on my own, but it doesn't mean that I don't crave a good connection.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't crave a good community where I feel heard and seen, and I can also see and hear people, and we can help each other, because I think this is just the basic human need. And we turned so far away from it already, because everybody's at home now. Okay, we are using ChatGPT not to replace this connection, but to educate ourselves. But many people, imagine how many people use it to replace what they are lacking. They don't have those connections, so they are talking with the AI like it was a person. And I think this is going to turn into an even more dangerous path when we really, really won't even look at each other anymore. You can see that relationships decrease, marriages decrease. Okay, marriage has another side also why it does, but still it is happening all around us. It's very hard to connect with people meaningfully. And of course, you can try to find your communities. Like if you can spare the time after working week to seek out circles of your hobbies, like if you like to paint, then you are trying to attend a painting class every week, or you try to join another type of club which is close to your interest, and there you meet people. I'm not saying that this is impossible, but what I say and see, because I'm also going to such places, I see that it's incredibly hard for people to leave home because they feel like, yeah, I have everything here. I have Netflix, I have popcorn, I have my phone. So why would I go out? Why would I meet people?
Yeah.
And it's happening. It's really hard to organize something where you can really have a good social time with other people.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah.
No, you finish first.
No, because I actually wanted to shift to something else. So if you want to add something to this, then please do so, because I also want to talk about the wealth gap and how it is normalized and even glorified. And how we turned into accepting that access to basic things is not guaranteed, like health, care, housing, education, and how it's affecting us as well.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to reflect to is that how everything is about the money, and this is why capitalism is working, because you can just never stop. You always have to get a job, and unfortunately, a lot of people still have to work 2 jobs because, for example, they are single mom and they are not being supported, or that they don't have the education for some reason that they could get a better paying job, and the prices are just rising and rising and rising, but salaries are not. And I actually experience it in my own life, how much of a struggle it is to just afford basic things in life, to just go on a day trip, to just buy groceries, do anything. And I'm in a much more luckier like place than other people on this planet. But it is a struggle, and you just have to keep grinding, or at least that's what we are told. And it's so scary to even think that what if I just, switch to something else, because then you don't know that kind of alternative. Same as with the relationships. You don't know that it could be better somewhere else, or another type. You can't even imagine how another type could be, because this is what you grew up in. Literally, this is what you see in the television everywhere. And money, having to pay for all kinds of subscriptions and dating apps, which is also contributing to disconnection between people, and that people are just being enabled more to not engage with one another. And because of that, people get lonelier and lonelier. And I am one of those people who used to spend money to try to make myself happy, and I didn't even notice, because, now I finally have some salary, and then I would spend it all on things that would cause me dopamine rush. And then after, I was like, all this stuff, what do I do with it?
Yeah, the consumerism mindset is really, really high. You can see it with fast fashion.
Yeah.
How successful they are, because everybody's just buying, no matter what. Because, that gives the small dopamine rush, which, like, I don't know, lasts until the package arrives and you rip it open and then you're happy for 2 seconds. Because, people have to find this somewhere, wherever they can, whatever is like pushed in front of them. But they cannot find somewhere else, somewhere more healthy place, because they don't have the time, or they don't have the mindset, because they were already brainwashed, and it's really hard to get out of being brainwashed.
Yeah.
So we can always hate on each other or point fingers at each other that I can and why you can. It's not so simple. You don't know what another person is going through, or how they were raised, and what kind of mindset they were forced into. And based on that, what kind of decisions they can make, or how their thoughts are shaped.
Yeah.
That's why we shouldn't really blame each other. That we should find a solution for this together. But I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
I think something, again, for this kind of change, something drastic like a huge war or zombie apocalypse has to happen. Or they reinvent dinosaurs, and then dinosaurs will start to eat people, and then that's
Jurassic
what's
Park!
yes. So, but what I was trying to highlight with that is that those people who actually have to work like 2 jobs as well, they absolutely have no chance to even meet their life needs at all.
Of course.
And
Of
they
course.
become
How?
so dependent on jobs and other people sometimes that they get stuck in unhealthy relationships as well. So it's just the whole thing, the whole system is so toxic, and we don't also feel the worth, the value of our own work. I just recently noticed that I do enjoy, yes, but I started to notice when I finally had print works and I could touch and see what I was doing, or when I was helping painting my friend's flat. And it was such a physical job and it had a result. We were doing together, socializing together, hard work and so on. We no longer feel the actual value and worth of our own job and the satisfaction from that. And I'm really started to feel a craving towards how it must have felt to grow your own food, to have your own animals, like even if you don't eat them, but for example, you keep chickens and you eat their egg or something, and have to wake up to look after them, and then there is a purpose in your life in that sense, and not to work for a grinding machine that you never really see the whole point of it.
Yeah, and it's exactly connecting back to what I wanted to mention, that it really matters what kind of overheads we have, what kind of managers we have, because most of the time we don't feel that we do anything or that our job matters because we don't receive any kind of positive feedback. They always find you when you make a mistake, but they never actually reward you with anything if you are doing a good job. So of course you don't feel that sense of achievement like what you mentioned. Yeah, anyway, you still need to do physical things which you see already the results of. I think it's very healthy, crafting or whatever thing, gardening, anything which is physical and you can see the results of. But if we had bosses who are capable actually not just to grind out results of people, but to actually manage people in a way to motivate them truly, to keep them seeing their results, it would be such a difference. But I think it's still a really small percentage if we are looking at the whole picture. And that's why we also feel like that. What are we doing? Why are we actually doing that? Because nobody cares. We are replaceable. Nobody really sees us. Nobody really appreciates what we are doing. And because most of the time it's like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's when also people pick up this mentality, then why should I care? Like they either become
so many
careless at work as well or towards other people, and they adopt this selfish mentality in that sense that why should I care? Like no one cares about me, so I deserve to have this, I deserve to do this, and I don't care what it's gonna cause or what it's gonna cause to other people. And we are just getting more and more further away from each other as human beings, and they don't even realize how bitter life they live because they keep telling themselves these lies that they deserve, so they do what they deserve and they are happy then. But actually not really, because where is the human connection which we originally are from, doing things together, bonding together, and so on.
Yeah, no, I think in these kind of environments, it's very, very rare to find that. And people maybe try to find it somewhere else, but they have limited time for it. And that's causing also the bitterness.
Yeah.
And the mental health crisis, what we are having.
That's why we are having it.
Yes, sometimes older generations are mocking us that you don't know what you should do with yourself, so you are inventing mental health issues. And so it's not inventing, it's always been there. They, in their generation, they just didn't really highlighted it, or it wasn't in front of them, it wasn't really discussed, but it's always been there in different kind of levels.
Yeah.
And the thing is that it's not like we are causing it, we are just suffering from it because of the system what we chose to live in chose. Well, they say there are always choices, and it's true, but as I said, how we are conditioned, it's really determining how we are going to live our lives, and most of the people are stuck in this.
Yeah, but that shows their own limitations and the lack of empathy again, because they never also really received any kind of empathy in their lives, so they never really learned to have empathy towards other people, or imagine, what they never got to experience, like being able to talk about their own feelings because they were talked down or say. What I can think of is the Pride and Prejudice scene where Elizabeth was very bitter and complaining about Mr. Darcy, I think. And then her aunt was saying, your bitterness is too visible. Let's say that. Be careful. Your bitterness is too visible. Something like that. Better. Yes, exactly. So badly done. Everyone can tell that you are in a bad mood.
Yeah. And the thing is that we are also taught to blame ourselves when we are struggling, instead of asking what kind of word we are struggling in, what is causing that.
Yeah.
And we are looking for ways like, maybe if I reach that level, maybe if I get the salary upgrade, maybe if I get the company car, maybe if I get this or that, maybe if I achieve this or that, it's going to be better. But it's not going to be better, actually.
Yeah.
Because it's all the same thing.
Yes?
No, just
But no, I just wanted to share, because you were listing out all these things, and my favorite thing is whenever I would accidentally share how overwhelmed I feel about something with someone who will not understand this, or they have still that mindset. And they would just say, everything just takes dedication, when I would share how I can't progress with my projects the way I would like to. And okay, again, I shared to the wrong person, because it's like, no, it's not. It's not about dedication really at this point. And this is why I love that every time when I'm trying to blame myself, ChatGPT pulls me back, and then it just reminds me that no, you've been doing so much, and it actually lists out the things that I forgot. There was like a day when I talked to it, because sometimes I sit down and I'm just like chatting with it, and then it was like, no, that's not true. Here you go. You did all these things today. And I'm like, why am I not valuing those things? For example, for washing the dishes, doing the laundry, cleaning the flat. I cleaned the entire flat, and I said I didn't do anything.
Yeah, because we are actually programmed to say or to detect that that's really nothing. It's like normal part of life, and that's not an achievement, even if you spent hours with it,
Yeah.
And it was exhausting. It's still nullified basically by your conditioned brain that's telling you it's nothing.
Yeah.
Because you should have, I don't know, revolutionize the world instead, or I don't know what kind of expectations we can have towards ourselves, but many times it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And the thing is, when it doesn't bring money for you, when it doesn't turn into a career, you're doing something, but it doesn't turn into something, then you are like, oh, I haven't done anything. Why was I wasting my time when I could have earned money or something, or I've wasted my money on it. And it's like capitalism has built in our mindsets so heavily that you have to, one way or another, earn money. To hobby through breathing, through anything, literally. And when you don't see that, you feel like you're wasting your money and energy on something And why? Because also prices are going up and you struggle financially as well. And you feel the need to have more. And it's like, how do I, make it better?
Yeah, always about that. Yeah, because as you mentioned earlier, the cost of living vs our salaries are two different things. And now going to the grocery store and just do a shopping has an outrageous cost, actually. The electricity, the gas, everything. And not mentioning if you are owning a car, because now it's considered a luxury. Before it wasn't that much, but now it is, especially that new cars, most of the people cannot even buy without a credit. And I'm not even talking about houses or apartments. Forget about it. Forget about it. That's why so many people get stuck together and they are unhappy together because they have the mortgage, they have the credit to pay for, and alone it's impossible to do all those things.
Yeah.
So that's what this system created, and it's getting worse and worse. The longer time passes, the worse it gets. And sometimes I'm asking myself a question if there is hope, like to regain some sense of slow living, minimalism, community care, spiritual reconnecting, and the questioning of this grind culture, because we have to be out there more people who are questioning this. Is this really the way? Is this really how we should be living?
Yeah.
I don't know when is it going to come, when we already have to pay for air, or when exactly this is going to be questioned by more people.
I don't think it will ever, because unless it's a drastic change, as we talked about it, people are just always adjusting themselves. They're gonna make it happen. Like even myself, I noticed for a while I was trying not to buy milk. I'm not buying cow milk. I buy coconut or soy milk or something, one of those. And I was trying to save some money on that because I calculated how much it costs for me monthly, and maybe don't buy cheese, don't buy this and that, that I considered as luxury, like yogurt, which shouldn't be. Yeah.
Imagine luxury yogurt, milk. What the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. And then
how did we get here?
People just make it happen because, the same way as they always increase the price of fuel, they increase the price of alcohol, they increase the price of tobacco and so on. People still buy it because they're not going to let it go, their addictions, their own treatment, so-called, their rights to their own things. And if it just happens gradually, if you poison someone slowly, they're not gonna question you what the hell is going on, they're just gonna adapt themselves to it. And yeah, I think it would need a very, very drastic change for people to question. And even then, a lot of them wouldn't see further than their nose.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's true. Because if you think about it, this isn't just an economic model, it's a belief system already.
Yeah.
People are conditioned in this kind of system. They find it completely normal. That's why most of them don't question it. It is what it is. I've always known this my entire life, so why should I question it? I accepted that I cannot own a house. I accepted that I cannot own a car. I accept that I cannot travel. I don't know what's the next level of accepting. But the thing is that questioning it is the first step towards reclaiming our humanity, I think.
Yeah. Just the problem is people are petrified facing reality that the life they have lived isn't justified with their own pain. So if they have lived a very difficult life and it turns out to be that it could have been differently, then they're like, what was this for? So they try and keep justifying whatever has happened with, no, this is how you do it. This is how you have to do it. Otherwise, like, why did I waste my time on it?
Yeah, what's the point of my existence?
Exactly.
And that's a very scary thought.
Yeah. That's the tough part. And yeah, I would like to encourage everyone to think when they feel so low, when they work, when they can't do their hobbies they used to love, and just think, why is that? What pattern they've been experiencing in their body, in their mind, their mood, and so on. And it's not easy. I can tell it's not easy to make changes, but everyone should really think about themselves, but not in that selfish way we just described in this episode, but in a nurturing way.
Yes, just to understand a little bit what's happening around us and how it affects us and what can be done to change or to start to step towards changing, because it's always little steps, I think. Because if you always I understand that everybody thinks about themselves and cares for themselves. But in this way, on the long run, we are going to end up in a cyberpunk-like world where there is nothing green and the corporate companies owe everybody and everything. And believe me, we've seen movies. And
have you seen Wall-E?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
That's also a possibility.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I resonate more with cyberpunk. Have you played the game?
Fortunately, I will check out some videos.
I think that we are heading to that direction on the long run if something drastically doesn't change, and I don't want to live. I mean, I'm not going to, because I will die, but I don't really picture such a world to be a livable place.
And what about Equilibrium? Just one last.
Oh, I've seen that a long time ago, and I cannot really recall what it was about.
Okay. So I recommend to watch for everyone. It's a really good one. It's again about they remove people's. I don't know if I should spoil it.
Try to say it without spoilers.
It's about creating workers and how accidentally someone will realize and wake up and start to fight against it. And it's a very emotional film, and it's futuristic, and it's really good one. I'm really bad at telling the story without telling the story.
It's okay.
Anyway, I do recommend Equilibrium, definitely. And there was another one, but I can't recall. Maybe next time I will remember. These are really great inspirations, I think, for us to look into where we are in life
and where we are heading.
Yes. Is this what we want to achieve? Yeah, that's that.
Yeah, I think we can wrap it up. We would really like to hear your opinion, how you are experiencing this and what's bothering you with this system. If you like this system also, you can share what you think are the benefits of it. We would like to hear all parts. Just because we have an opinion doesn't mean that everybody needs to think the same way. So if you like the video, please share, comment, and so on. All kind of things what people say, social media after you watch their content.
Yes, please put tons of relatable gifs, because I love gifs, in the comment section. Yeah, and then see you next time.
Thank you for watching. See you next time.
Thanks. Bye. Bye.